Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy Wednesday, Great Girlfriends! Happy Wednesday! I am so excited to be back because I've been on a whole, I won't say a break, Tara, but I needed to breathe. And I did something very good that I haven't done in a while, which is I don't rush the calendar anymore. Ooh. I don't rush it. I used to jam the calendar. Like, let me make sure this is booked 5 times. I have everything locked in, that I'm recording this day for 10 hours, that, the kids are where they're supposed to be, the husband where he's supposed to be, the dog is over there. I tried to make sure and I don't rush this 2024. I've not been rushing the calendar. Actually, awesome. Casey will probably say I started in 23, where it was like, you know what? I'm not recording today. I need to breathe.
That's a great lesson.
It's such a great lesson. It's changed my life. So I'm encouraging you, great girlfriends near or far, to breathe today. Give your calendar some breathing room. Give it some breathing room and watch what happens. I think it gets filled with more intentional moments that we can appreciate more.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
How did you decide that? Was it like an event that prompted that?
I was in the pressure cooker in 23. I felt like I was I felt like I was chasing time. I was looking up and I was like, what was last week? I couldn't recall the week because I was so far ahead to the next moment. And I look up and, my son is growing 2 more inches and my daughter is growing 1 inch. And I'm just like, wait, what? It was all happening to me. And I didn't feel like it was happening for me. I just felt like I was in it. And I'm like, just trying to keep my head afloat. And I didn't like that feeling. And at the end of 2023, I was very much, I was in a space where I knew I needed to rest. I felt too anxious around time.
That's good.
I did. I just felt too anxious. And it's not like, and I don't normally feel that way. Calendar is very active. I have a very active calendar, active schedule, and travel a lot and things like that. And it doesn't trouble me, but I was feeling troubled.
Wow.
With you know what I mean? The very same thing you find joy in, you can feel like pressure and trouble. And I wasn't feeling good about my time.
Yeah. Your strength can become your weakness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, so I just took 2 weeks at the end of the year to literally, I think I ate dinner. I maybe ate a meal once a day. I ate snacks. I laid in the bed. I was like, if you guys need me, I'm upstairs. I am going to watch some show. I don't know I'm going to find a TV show. I'm going to read some books. I'm going to call friends. I'm not driving anywhere. I just chilled out. I can be driven, but I'm not driving.
I love that.
So the kids were like, what does that mean for us? That means if you got to go, you better find a ride that is not me. I will be in the passenger seat, but I'm not driving. And they were like, oh, yeah. Ooh. And I was like, you guys can cook. You know how. You know how to do all the things. So you don't really need me to anchor all that.
Wow.
So and then I came into 24. I was like, don't rush, girl. Why are you rushing? Like, don't feel anxious to be on. Take your time, breathe.
That's great.
And it was really good. It's been the smallest things, like my colorist, my hairstylist moved. She moved all the way to Vegas.
Oh, I thought you meant like further away from you.
Further, like, what am I going to do now, right?
Yes.
So normally I would have been anxious about, like, okay, my roots are driving me crazy. And I would have been looking and trying to chase down a new colorist and all the stylists. She's coming in town in March. I said, I'll see you in March. And little choices like that give you more time on your calendar, because I'm not scurrying on the internet for hours trying to find a new stylist or checking in. It just gave my body more breathing room to think about bigger things, more important things.
That's awesome. I saw you recently and I had this meniscus strain, this back of knee pain that I've never had an injury. I've never slowed down for anything, right? But it was this whole week where I was forced to not drive.
Oh.
And I had too many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually forced me into that zone that you're talking about where I had to sit down.
Yeah.
I had to let somebody else drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have decided that. I'm glad that you were strong enough to decide that. That was decided for me. But I'm learning now, getting back into the zone that I'm trying not to go all the way back.
Were you feeling nervous in that week?
I felt lost. Like I was on a foreign planet. I was just like, no, I am the do everythinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So who's going to do everything if I'm not?
Yes. I felt crazy.
What did you conclude after that week?
Life will go on with or without me. So I need to live my best life at a pace that does not burn myself out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's so good. Okay, well, you have already realized why I have brought on my guest today, who is Dr. Tara Jenkins. Say hi to the camera, Tara.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you.
And I will tell you, Tara is a fellow mom friend. And just to give backstory, I always like to give backstory because I tell the great girlfriends all the time, I have the most amazing women in my universe. I am so blessed. From Casey, producer, Juliana, co-producer, great girlfriends like you, mom, sister, siblings. I always have women around me who are just top tier. And it's not like, I'm out climbing for it. God literally plants amazing women in my space. And you were one of the women that you were planted in my space. I was like, well, thank you, God. I don't mind if I do enjoy her sparkle and her light.
But you said light attracts light. So yes. I was so excited to meet you.
Yes. I mean, I was truly, truly excited. And so I think the kickoff to our meet was at the gospel concert. Was it in 2023?
Last year.
Last year. Our kids go to the same unnamed school here in LA. And this annual concert was amazing. And so Mama Campbell, who I will name because she is everybody's mama.
Shout out to Mama Campbell.
Shout out to Mama Campbell was there with us at the concert. And Mama Campbell is like the biggest celebrity in all the world. Everyone knows Mama Campbell. Yes. So the whole band knows Mama Campbell. Everyone's Mama Campbell, Mama Campbell. And then Charles comes up to Mama Campbell. Turns out that your son is at the school and her husband was performing at the concert, and we met you all. And Tara has this, if you're watching, you can see the sparkle.
Thank you.
It's just a sparkle.
I appreciate
it.
That.
It's genuinely like sprinkling stardust type energy that you have. Like your spirit is very warm and vibrant.
I feel the same about you.
Yeah. And so when I found out that you were from Tennessee, I was like,
that's my sister.
That explains some of that amazingness.
Yes.
Because she is my sister from the state of Tennessee.
West Tennessee, to
be specific, because we are very different from our East girls. But then when I also heard you speak at the event at Cali Worship, and I found out about your book and I started following you online, I was just so inspired by your womanhood.
Thank you.
I just want to do this really big thing, Tara, which is go over your bio. I know it's that awkward moment where it's like, you really going to read about me? But I am, because the sparkle has a source and I want to make sure that we honor it, right?
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tara. So Dr. Tara Rawls Jenkins is an author, national conference host, and creative communicator. Her messages often infuse spoken word, music, and dance, utilizing secular cultural references to explain scriptural principles. She is a graduate of Clark Atlanta University with a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media Arts, Moody Bible Institute with a Master of Arts in Biblical Studies, and Southern Seminary with a Doctor of Education in Leadership. With a passion to see women, wives, and girls empowered, Tara enjoys convening faith-lifting events. She has been married for 26 whole happy years, y'all. And that's like, wow. To her songwriting, recording artist husband, Charles Jenkins. They have 3 extraordinary children, Princess, who's 21, Paris, 19, and Charles III, who is 15 years old. 26 years of marriage in a world where people can't get a date. Let's just talk about it, because we're talking today about marriage, motherhood, and marking moments. And I think they're all a combination of the life we live. You're going to have marking moments in marriage and motherhood, but there's so much about your life experience that has qualified you to make good choices as a wife and as a mother. And so that woman comes to the table and she takes on these other titles. The title is not you. You take on the titles. So I want to know about this because 26 years, I'm 18 in, and Yay. Thank you.
Congratulations. Round of applause.
I'm 18 years in, and it feels like 26 some days. Some days it feels like 2. I don't know. Marriage is that thing, but how do you do that? How do you do 26 years smiling like this, enjoying your spouse, laughing, looking forward to more years?
We have this mantra in our family that God has called us to a life of adventure, right?
That's good.
And so adventure means all of it, right?
Yeah.
The highs, the lows, the twists, the turns, the unforeseen. And so I came to this marriage world not really having any experience of marriage in my household.
Really?
So my mom filed for divorce 5 months pregnant with me.
What?
She was one of these strong women like, oh, no, it's not going to be 2 of us waiting for you to come home.
Okay.
I'm out.
Yes, mama.
So I grew up as the only child of this strong Black woman who was like, don't play helpless female, don't need anything, like very independent, right? And so everything that she instilled in me was really to be this independent, like career-oriented, really woman. And so the life I had planned for myself was not exactly filled with like marriage is the goal. And then that kind of takes over your life. And that's kind of like what happened. So
I relate to that completely.
Right? And so during my college years, a spring break trip, a choir trip, I ended up meeting this young man. We were 19.
Wow.
And it was a long distance relationship the entire time.
Wow.
He was in Chicago in college. I was in Atlanta. And he came and proposed during graduation, and that kind of changed my trajectory of my career and where I went to graduate school. All of those things changed. And so jumping into that marriage journey was just a newfound adventure because, like I said, I hadn't seen it in my home.
Wow.
So it's on the job training. I did not have any preparation for what all that meant.
But what did you want? Like coming in, if you can recall 26 years ago, what did that young Tara want then? I mean, I know we have the mantra now.
Yeah.
Did you come into the marriage with that mantra, or is that something that you developed?
I probably was very idealistic because of what I had not seen as far as the reality of what a marriage relationship looks like. So my examples, I'm sure, at that moment were like the Cosbys, what you see on TV is professionals that are doing everything and trying to raise their kids. And so I for sure wanted to have kids that had both parents in their homes. Okay. So that was for sure something that was of value.
Okay.
That was, deeply rooted in there just based on my own life experiences. You mentioned my book, Enoughness, where I tell the story of, I believe it was my 6-year-old neighbor. She said to me, well, I'm not from a broken home like you.
Oh.
And I remember that moment. In my book, I talk about, when were the first moments where you felt like you were not enough or someone kind of tried to treat you like you would never be enough. And I remember that moment, and that was like the halfway point of kindergarten. Because we moved to that neighborhood during the Christmas break of kindergarten. I was like, wow, I remember that being said to me kind of in a snide way at that age.
Wow.
And so I'm sure all of those things kind of led to me being like, when I grow up, it's going to look like this. And I really didn't feel a lack of love at all from this quote unquote broken home because of my family is just at everything I ever did. Like, yeah. So
then for the great girlfriend who's listening, who's going, I totally relate that I had the experience of not having this example of marriage, but even still desiring it. How do you develop like a love, a trust, a connection in that way with the man that you want to devote yourself to? How do you commit to that over time? You know, you have to have certain things in your toolkit because exiting is probably easier than staying when there's conflict or, you know,
I think
like
that long distance mentorship was probably one of the best things I had. And when I say long distance mentorship, I mean that I had people who were mentors who were not like in my daily life holding my hand.
Yeah.
There were pictures of families that I could see myself in. I could see the role of the woman. I could see the role of the man. I could see them navigating challenges. I could see them. So everything wasn't like in my face mentorship, but I saw so many strong women who still had identity, who had not lost their identity and whatever their marriage looked like. And that acknowledgement that I can create the culture of my home. And so I'm not drowning in comparison of the way my family operates, you know, in opposed to looking at someone else's family. I'll give you an example. I have a friend. They plan out their entire year. They know every camp their children are going to go to. They know every trip they're going to go on. It is a beautiful chart. January 1. I have another friend. Every October, they do a strategic family life plan for the next year. Yeah. That's not my life. Yeah. That's not who I marry. And I would continually be in a place and state of frustration if I was always comparing my life to those two families' lives. And these women are very close to me. Yeah. But I had to resign to the reality. That's not who you marry. You know who you married. Right. Like one of my mentors said, you know who you married. You know who you married. And that's not the way we're wired. We have this adventurous, we may be leaving the country next weekend, and I don't know yet. And God has called us to a life of adventure. Yeah. And our life doesn't look like other people's lives. And so embracing that kind of gives me the freedom to live through the things that could be tension because I want things to flow differently than they are.
Yeah. So that's one of those things where you are like, I don't want to say groomed by your mate, but we do sort of finesse to one another's ways in a groomed kind of way. My husband has groomed me into a very compassionate, loving person. I was very loving, but I wasn't as compassionate as he has, you know, as I've become under his love. And I've groomed him in a different way. So that's one of those things where you can now understand and appreciate adventure because it's ever present.
Ever present.
Ever present in your daily life, your daily planning. And he has probably learned to even structure adventure because he has an understanding of your mindset and how to make his adventures possible. If I structure it in a way, he's getting better. By year 50, you're going to have a calendar on January 1st. You're going to have an October planning meeting. I'm just joking.
I saw this illustration, right? This is expectation, right? And then this is reality. Yeah. And that space in between reality and expectation is frustration. Yeah. And if you want to eliminate the frustration, then you got to lower some of the expectations in specific categories.
That is very true.
Yeah, we're going to let that go. Yes. My expectation of a full calendar, January 1, we've relinquished that.
Right. To the point, if it comes, you're like, I want adventure. What are you doing? Don't give me that's not what we don't do that.
Right. One of my mentors was like, you would be so bored. I was like, really?
You would. And that's like my husband goes into a complete panic. Well, I think he's gotten better. He's gotten better. Maybe I've gotten better. But when it's time to travel, I'm probably a lot more like your husband. I also don't get to the airport early unless there's a lounge that I want to be in. If I already know that the lounge is not one that I like, I'm not going early. And he likes to be there 3 hours early. Oh, no. And I could cry. I cry like I'm in pain if I'm too early. And so we have that that pull and push of when are we leaving the house? Are we leaving too soon? What time is the car coming out? He gets so nervous, and I'm like, we're going to make it. Trust me. I do this. And then I get that panic when I'm almost late. I'm like, oh my God, if this is the one we miss. So it's all those things that we learn over time to either appreciate or don't care about, right? To become less careful or conscious of. But what are some of the things in marriage that you think, like, I know you have 2 beautiful daughters and a very amazing son. And I know that you both are building into them values that you would like for them to carry out as men and women. Though sometimes, it's hard to understand who our kids are going to become over time. And all, you're watching and you're like, here are the values, but then they live and they make choices. But what are some of those core values that you want your kids to carry out as they go out in the world and make their choices about their romantic partners that you think you'd like to see in them?
Well, I definitely always pray that whoever they're around brings out the best in them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sees them beyond where they are.
Yeah.
Because I've served women and girls in different environments where I have seen their decisions make them shrink back.
Yes.
Or put a dimmer switch on their light.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most painful thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that whoever they're around, friendships and romantic relationships, it makes them want to shine brighter and maybe even gives them ideas for their future that's beyond what they thought of.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, go, go, go. Like my husband, if I say, I can't tell him an idea until I'm ready for it to be expanded. Because I'm like, he's so multi-talented that there's very few things he can't do. But what he can't do, he cannot think small. And he cannot sit in the audience.
I love it.
For long periods of time. He will go to the bathroom and not come back.
Oh, my God.
Like, literally, we went to see Wicked. And at intermission, he was like, I think I have time to get your mother here to see the second half of this with you.
He was like, I've seen the first half. I'm good. If I'm not performing, it's hard for me to. I know. He's like, let me get you another partner to sit through this. That's so funny.
Well, but if I tell him something, he's gonna be like, oh yes, we should do this internationally on every continent. Like it's like always expanded. And so I want that for my kids as well.
Yeah.
For there to always be someone in their life who can cheer them on.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like I would do this, but since I'm with this person, that'll make them feel whatever competition or that pride and competing, none of that. Someone who is a collaborator, who is a confidant, and who always sees them as someone that they are like doing life with, not competing against each other. And so of course, unconditional love, all of that, faith, all of that.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I had a conversation with my daughter, Dylan, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, right around Valentine's Day. And she was like, Mommy, you and Daddy make love sometimes so unrealistic. I said, but it is real. Like, this is your reality. She's like, yeah, but it's like not out there. That's what people say. And I'm like, she's 12. How does she have this? How does she have this idea of that? But in the world that they're in now, the construct is different, right? Like the long-termness of it all is not there. You know, people are very kind of one and done, running out. I like for a day, I don't. The turnover is higher. And when I heard her say that, I was like, but I want you to see that this is a possibility. You don't have to have. This is, an option for you. I want you to know it's possible and that it's realistic, but it shouldn't be that your real life is unrealistic because the world is so different now. Have you heard any of that? That's so
beautiful. I think it's gorgeous that they are seeing a family that's together. Yeah. That they think is so beautiful that they don't even know if it's
real.
I'm like,
guys, this is the
because there was a moment in my life that I was the only married one in my friend group, and what I noticed was that everyone in my friend group, almost everyone in my friend group, whose parents stayed together, all of those kids were single. because they did not like what they saw at home with their parents who had stayed together.
Interesting.
And I was the only one in my friend group that had the single mama.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to get married.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I had this idealistic, thought of what marriage would look like. So I was willing to jump and do it. And then they had seen what they didn't like. It was like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
So
Jesus, interesting. Yeah, you never really know how it's going to sort of play out in terms of experience. It is true. But when you think about, I want to switch gears just a bit because in your book, or your book about being enough means that you have to have a sense of satisfaction or contentment in who you are. And that comes in seasons where that's not always easy. It can be seasons where you're transitioning out of employment or relationships or even body image and loving and perception of who you are versus who the world is expecting you to be, or just living in a world. I mean, we live in LA. There's so much artificial reality here.
AR.
There's a lot of AR. There's a lot of AR in LA. So it can make you question what is valuable, what is good, what is enough. Have you come across any of those feelings, like now being here from Chicago and just living in a different lifestyle? I'm sure that life has probably changed for you from those two markets.
Yeah.
Where you question enoughness?
Definitely who your audience is changes and shifts, right? And you have to make a decision to be the same person regardless of the audience changing.
Yeah.
When during COVID, I was teaching this lesson about winning with no fans in the stands. Because all of these professional athletic events had to still do their plays, still try to win without anyone cheering for them.
Yeah.
And so in your own journey of enoughness, it's like you have to self-discover what is winning look like in this season of my life. And what is enough in this season of my life, because they can change.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so being able to shift and say, I'm enough for what I have to do right now. I'm mom enough. I'm wife enough. I'm woman enough. I'm employee or employer enough to do what I have to do in this season. Yeah. So the reality of those season shifts has to be something that also informs where you feel your enoughness. Because what size I felt like enough in high school is not going to happen today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Right. Not today. Not today. Yeah, you can't be kind to yourself if you're looking back and trying to pull from history to become something that you are supposed to be today. You won't be kind. You'll be cruel. You won't be fair to yourself. You won't be patient either. You won't be gracious at all. Yeah. Right. So then when you think about those marking moments, those experiences that really kind of gave you a sense of identity, some of them could be very harsh and critical and painful moments. Some of them can be just these really highs. I want to know about one of those painful moments that, really where you had to reassess and decide that Tara was enough.
Yes. And I think it has happened with moving different markets, as you said it. So when I was in our West Tennessee upbringing, I thought I was pretty VIP. I was that person that was like captain of the cheerleaders, doing the pageants, the scholarship pageants from all the sororities and the links and all those things. And I failed the honors English final that I needed to pass in order to participate in my high school graduation.
Oh.
And when I failed that, this person that was all these titles was the person in the audience that didn't get to go to high school graduation. And so that was a moment that was very humbling, and it was just a feeling of hearing the chatter for the first time of, oh, she's outgoing, she was never smart. like those type of things being said by adults. This is what
I'm thinking you're talking about kids.
This is what I could not believe. I was like, I didn't know adults.
Yeah.
Talked about
think that
kids.
way about kids.
Right.
Wow.
And so that was a moment that was like, okay, everybody is not cheering for you, right? There are some people that have some other things to say. And so when I went to Clark Atlanta, it was straight from summer school, never having a high school graduation, never even seeing my diploma. It was like unceremoniously in the mail that I saw it on Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And so going from Atlanta to Chicago after graduating undergrad, I was in a setting where people did not know I could do anything, right? So I'm I'm coming from a place where everybody knows, oh, she speaks and she plays for that church and I did all these things, right? Yeah. My mom's her whole plan for raising me was keep me too busy to get in trouble. So there was never a day after school that I went home. I always had something. And so I was known as that person always doing these things. So then I'm in a setting where no one knows me and thinks I can do anything. And so to be kind of spoken to in that way, treated as a person that doesn't do anything, can't do anything, let me teach you how to. It was a little demeaning, you can tell when people are kind of talking to you.
Yeah.
And so to be in a setting going from being honored in a sense to people treating you in a dismissive way, still having to know you are enough even when people don't know it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm enough before you know it.
Yeah.
And I'm enough before I show it.
Okay, so I'm enough before you know it, and I'm enough before I show it.
Because I know what I can do, even when you don't know.
That
can happen when you enter a new place of employment, a new industry, a new friend group, a new city. All of us have dealt with transitions.
Yeah.
But you still have to know that you are enough, even though day one I'm not going to show it all to you.
Yeah. Stick around. You'll experience my enoughness blooming. Right?
Going to come out.
There are some great girlfriends who are listening who don't believe in the possibility, Tara, of even meeting a romantic partner who will be devoted, right? Or being vested enough in a relationship to birth children. Some people feel that their date has passed. They've been waiting a long time to meet him or her, and they've had so many heavy marking moments that they are just feeling disqualified, right? And we see a lot. I go online and I see the post and I probably rush to the comments. I want to see and hear how people are thinking and breathing and feeling. And I see so much pessimism in the world. I can see a beautiful wedding, two people get together, love each other in the picture. And in the comments, people are going, see how long it lasts. Will he be faithful? All the things. And it tells me, it's indicative of where people are sitting spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So I know that there is a lot of pessimism. I also, in the great girlfriend community, hear women saying, it's easy for you to say, Sybil, you have a husband, you have kids, you got the dog, or whatever the thing is. Yeah. So you don't fully understand what it's like. And I'm like, I do understand rejection. I understand waiting on God or waiting to meet someone who will love me the way I deserve to be loved. I understand those things. It might look like I don't, but it doesn't mean I don't still have those experiences. So what would you say to the great girlfriend who is sitting in that headspace where they're like, Tara, 26 years, lovely. 3 kids, wonderful, switched markets. That's woo, first world, right? Those are first world issues. What would you say to her who is in the waiting and feels like she's been disqualified?
That's such a good question. I was having a similar conversation about that thought that there's a lack of empathy or connectivity from a married person talking to a single great girlfriend. I believe that all of our steps are designed by a creative creator.
Yeah.
who knows who belongs in your life in certain seasons of your life. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes back to this debate I have with my kids. Is there a such thing as the one? Because if there is this specific partner designed for you, we don't get to decide what season of life they enter into our play. You know, what act of our life that this partnership is going to happen. Mm-hmm. So being open to a non-traditional storyline. Yeah. Because we're all raised on fairy tales and Disney. Yeah. And there's an age of the princess and there's an age of the prince and the kiss and the happily ever after. Yeah. But everybody's story does not look the same. Everyone doesn't have the same linear journey in their relationship. So being open to possibilities in non-traditional ways, and also making sure that if you are a sponge, that everything you're soaking up is not negativity. Because when situations squeeze you, the only thing that can come out is what you've been soaking in. And so deciding your mental and emotional diet, what you take in through media, what type of shows you can handle right now, what music you can handle right now. Because a lot of times that negativity, like the comments that you were speaking of, it comes from seeing these cycles played out on some television shows, some film, some webisodes, whatever you're taking in. If you're in a moment where you want to believe for something bigger and brighter, then you can't feed that belief with a negativity. Right. Because life is going to squeeze you. But you have to have soaked up some positive storylines in real life. Like, get some real life people in your life who have some positive stories, some positive outlooks, some positive outcomes. One of my friends, we always joke about people who tell a story that's going on, and there's no money. We like, it's a testimony. Like, you just told me to test. Where is the money? Get some people in your life that have a testimony. Yes, that's so of good. Something great happening. Because people will give you all the details of the test, and you'll be like, I'm waiting. Where's the money?
Give me something to lift me out. Don't pull me in a pit and then leave me there. Yes. Tell me about the best piece of advice one of your great girlfriends has ever given you.
Okay, so I was in the fanciest restaurant called Chick-fil-A, having a life-changing moment. I
love it.
And
Michelin.
You never know when the life-changing moment is going to happen.
That's right.
And so she was saying she had to do all these things. And she said that she had to get to a point where she began to let other people do the things that other people can do. Because there's a certain list that only she can do. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that she's created to do. Like, there's a specific thing that only she can do. Like, she can run. She was running a business with a great detail, but she was getting bogged down by a lot of other things going on in her home management things, right? And I think we think that to relinquish some duties, we have to have this great amount of wealth. But she was able to delegate things just even through some mentorship, through some people who wanted to be around her that needed the moments of volunteerism. But it was the relinquishing of that that allowed her to have the space and capacity to do the things that only she could do. So she was like, let other people do what anyone can do so that you still have the energy, time, bandwidth to do what only you can do.
That is such good wisdom. That's
as an only child, I do not understand why I need help to do things. I do not like to ask for help.
And that's a big deal. Well, a lot of times the things that you do, that you take on, validate something on the inside of you. Even when they are not assigned to you, they confirm or they validate you. And you have to address why you require validation in that way. Not for you, for somebody else at Chick-fil-A. Just saying.
It's for me.
Because it does, right? It goes back to something.
It goes back to that day when my back of my knee was hurt. Like,
yes.
My feelings are hurt that I can't do it all this week.
Yeah. And you're like, but you know what? When you think back to the way that your mother wired you, it was that performance, kind of equaled some form of enoughness.
Yeah.
It was somewhat performative. If you think about like your child experience, as you mentioned it, staying busy is almost a way of performing that sort of, so that might be something that you are in this LA life, the softer life, that you learn how to just release some of that performance so that you can.
Let me tell you something embarrassing I would never admit. When I saw you and I sat with you at this event that we just saw each other at.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed that I had a crutch that I went and hid it and lost and found.
Stop it.
This is great. Girlfriends exclusive.
My gosh.
You're getting it here and only here.
This happens. Does this not happen? I saw you leaning. I didn't know that you had a crutch though.
Like, I cannot walk in here with a crutch. I don't want to answer 50 million questions about why I have a crutch. I was like, I don't even want it.
Tara, we climbed steps.
Yes, I was leaning on you.
Yes, you were, but I didn't know it was like crutch level.
You said lean on me.
Yes, I did, because I was like, come on, I got you. Just be cool. Lean up. I didn't know what
great girlfriends are for.
You hit the crutch.
And lost and found. And then you were like, come sit in here. I was like, sure.
You rolled out afterwards too. I was like, where did she go?
No, I don't know. I just sat down while everybody, I did go get the crutch. I let everybody leave. And I was like, Charles, where are you? And he was like, I'm down the steps. I was like, oh, I can't come see you down the steps.
My gosh. He was down the steps with Sam. That is so funny, great girlfriends. Because when you go back over the moment, you're like, wait, I saw you leaning on the side rail. And I was like, why is she over here? It never would have occurred to me. But what about the crutch for you was hard to, what about having a crutch was challenging for you?
When I told my oldest daughter, I was like, I'm supposed to be on this crutch. She was like, oh, you don't like that kind of attention. I was like, I do not.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh.
This is turned into a couch in a therapy session.
The fact that she hit it in Lost and Found, Great Girlfriends, is priceless. I love it. But I mean, it's one of those things where you know yourself. And you're right. A trillion people would have been going, what happened? Are you okay? Do you need help? Come sit in the handicap section, because there was we could actually have better seating, but that's a whole other story.
And you said exactly that. We were sitting in that room and you said, too bad we don't have a crutch. We could get in through the side door. You said exactly that. And I was sitting on the inside just crying and crumbling. And I was like, this is not a good time to bring this up.
Because I would have been like, girl, go get the crutch. I'll use it. Let's just get in the side door and sit over here where we belong tonight. Why are we climbing steps?
You said exactly that.
I remember
if you
that.
were wondering if you have a special gift, you do. Because you said exactly what was going on.
And you denied. You were like, no, we don't have a crutch. In her mind,
I didn't say anything. I was
gonna be me.
I was on the inside just crumbling. Like, I cannot believe this.
So, Tara, what's the comedy special coming out? What's next for you, Tara? That is so funny. Great Girlfriend, if you were there and you had seen her even climbing about 10 steps and going back down the steps, we were in the middle of a very long bench row of seats. I cannot believe that the whole time you were at crutch level pain. Wow. Yeah. Well, you're a G. That says a lot about you.
No, you were there for me.
I was. I didn't know how deeply I was there. But I was there. I feel good about that.
That's what great girlfriends are for.
That's priceless. No, seriously, what's next? Next book, next opportunity? Where are you going, big and small?
I'm excited.
That you can say. I'm not going to expand it. I'm just going to listen. Okay.
I'm excited about planning an event that is hosted by me. You know, I've been a guest at a lot of other people's platforms, so I'm excited to be designing my own platform.
Oh, that's exciting! Yes, congratulations!
Thank you.
I want to be there. I can't.
I would
wait
love
to
for you to be there.
That's gonna be wonderful.
I can't wait to tell you the details.
Oh my gosh, are we thinking West Coast?
We are not.
We're staying tuned. Okay, you'll tell us later. Okay. So Tara, where can the Great Girlfriends pick up your book? Where can they keep up with you on social media? Where can they learn more about what's to come?
Yes, Tara Jenkins Online has the books, anything that we have coming up, and my social media handles are all Dr. Tara Jenkins.
I love. Any last words for the Great Girlfriends?
Listen, do what you were created to do, not what you're expected to do.
That's good.
That's it. Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful moment and platform. Great Girlfriends, I love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Tara. I'm so grateful to have you. Great Girlfriends, make sure you go follow Tara, learn more about her book. Don't just learn more about it. Let me rephrase it. Go buy the book. Go buy the book, buy one for yourself, buy one for a great girlfriend, and continue to follow her on Instagram to learn more about what's to come, because I'm sure whatever this experience will be, it's going to be one that we all want to be a part of.
Yes.
So we got to make sure we're there in full spirit and just basking in your sparkle, Tara.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Great Girlfriends, have a wonderful Wednesday wherever you are. Please make sure that you are subscribing on YouTube. Make sure that you are sharing this episode with another great girlfriend, and make sure you're sending us an email if there's anything that you want to hear, learn, or see on the podcast. To email welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com. We have someone there that checks all the emails and it goes through all the pitches for the show. Thank you for anything that you have sent, but if you have anything else you want to send over, please let us know. All right, peace. All right, Great Girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_greatGFS. I'm Sibylla Muti, and I'm out. Peace.
Yay Networks.